Hi, Matt Wilson again with today's video, which is going to be discussing the music of Frank Zappa. Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, or Zappa Solo, from the years 1966 through 1981. Why 81? Just seemed like a good place to stop. You know, I don't have every single album that he made in the 1980s, but I also just, for time constraints. So, Zappa was a pivotal figure here in Los Angeles in the 60s and 70s. He's not for everybody. I mean, I know people who definitely do not like Frank Zappa, or in terms of quirky LA cult artists will take Captain Beefheart over Zappa, which is, hey, fine. I'll do a Beefheart show one day too. But for today, we're going to discuss Frank. I've been doing some, hippie videos lately, music from the 60s counterculture. So today we're going to do a guy who definitely was not a hippie. So we're going to start off with 1966 and Freak Out. Now, Freak Out, I do CDs and not vinyl here, right, guys? So what I want to show you here this is my preferred way to listen to Freak Out. This is the Mofo project object, came out from the Zappa Family Trust a while back. It gives you the complete 1966 stereo LP version of Freak Out, not a remix. And it also gives you the original orchestral, I guess you could say, version of Lumpy Gravy, right? That Frank released, I think at the time, as a cassette. I don't think it was even on vinyl. As well as, lots of other tasty things. Or did I get that wrong? And is Lumpy Gravy on... Oh, you know what? I think I did get that wrong. I think that's, yeah, my bad. That's on Lumpy Money, so let's get to it. This is the cover of Freak Out. This is not provided in this little Mofo box set. This is just a Xerox copy that I made from the CD. But this is a nice little set. It's, I don't know if I can hold this up here. It's 4 discs. Comes with a nice little booklet. And so that I get this right, I want to tell you what's on here. So disc 1, is the original 1966 vinyl stereo mix of Freak Out, like I said. Disc 2, you have some mono cuts. Disc 3 is also mono. These are all recordings he made when he was making Freak Out, when the band was making Freak Out. And disc 4 is just more esoteria. It is the best exploration of the Freak Out album that the Zappa family has released so far. There's a mono mix, which is not on here. I guess that they don't like, or it hasn't been sanctioned yet. But anyways, that's what I recommend for if you really want to do a deep dive into Freak Out. It's a great album. Frequently I've been saying with these shows, there was nothing that sounded like that at the time. Well, there wasn't. I mean, Frank was a great guitar player. He did not like love songs, but you've got lots of little kind of 50s doo-wop homages / parodies of love song lyrics. He's doing crazy stuff, like Help I'm a Rock, which other bands in the 60s covered. He's got that great protest song about the Watts riots, Trouble Coming Every Day. It's a great record, all right? Okay. Then we got, when I show you guys these CDs, I'm almost inevitably going to be showing you the 2012 mixes, because mostly they use the original LP mixes. When they don't, if I can remember, I'll tell you. But if I've got it, if I'm showing it to you, just and again, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. It's the LP mix of the time. This is absolutely free. It is another great album from 1967 with the Mothers. You also get the 1967 single, Big Leg Emma, and boy, guys, wish I could read these song titles, but they're so small for a guy my age with not so good eyesight. Big Leg Emma and Why Don't You Do Me Right. Those two songs were not on the original Absolutely Free, but they're on the CD, and they're great songs. But they're not at the end as bonus tracks. If memory serves, they're right smack dab in the middle of the album. So if that bothers you, such is life. But another wonderful record, very LA. You know, so was Freak Out. You know, he's talking about specific locales and lots of in jokes. But this is when he was really getting a name for himself, 66, 67, 68, as being this, you know, genius from the West Coast who was just kind of parroting everything. This is when his sense of humor was really working. We'll get to that later on when I think it began to be puerile, but love it. Okay, now we move on to, well, let's go on to Lumpy Money, because Lumpy Money is, this gives you the 1967 mono LP mix of his classic album, We're Only In It For The Money, which that's what the album cover looked like. This is the Mo Fidelity version, but this is a remix. If you're gonna get this MoFi gold disc, keep in mind this is the 80s remix, you know, where he overdubbed the drums or whatever, or re-recorded is what I should say. You want the original 1966 mono LP mix, this is the way to get it. The original 1967 stereo mix has not been put on CD yet, to my knowledge. But this also contains, as I erroneously claimed on the Mofo box, this also contains the original cassette version of Lumpy Gravy. Lumpy Gravy, this is the cover of Lumpy Gravy, which that's just a regular CD. I'm gonna pull out the booklet here and make sure, so I'm not telling you guys wrong if you pick up Lumpy Money. It is, how many discs are in here? There's 2, disc 3. Oh, is that it? Disc 3? Well, maybe so. Maybe it's just 3 discs. Anyways, disc 1 is the original, the original Lumpy Gravy. It says Primordial. It's the orchestral edit that he presented to Capitol. And then you also get We're Only In It For The Money on the same disc, the mono mix, as I was telling you. Disc 2 is the 1984 remix of Lumpy Gravy, where it's just, you know, part 1 and part 2. And you also get the 1984 remix of We're Only In It For The Money. And then disc 3 is, you know, a bunch of ephemera, stuff that he recorded at that time. So if you want the original versions of those 2 albums, We're Only In It For The Money, Lumpy Gravy, you got to get this. It's kind of opens up like that. You get the artwork. All right, so one more time. Lumpy Money, put out by the Zappa family some years back. Okay, as I showed you earlier, this is the Mo Fidelity gold disc of We're Only In It For The Money. It is the 80s remix though, so keep that in mind. That's the 80s version of Lumpy Money. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Then the Mothers did a doo-wop pastiche called Cruising with Reuben and the Jets. If you want the actual 1968 LP mix, this is how you got to get it. It's called Greasy Love Songs. Try to get it so that it doesn't have that shine, but it looks like it's going to have it anyway. That's okay. You know what? I'll take it out for you. There you go. Ooh, it is a shiny disc. Also put out by the Zappa family in the 21st century. This is how you get the actual LP mix. Don't just get the regular CD, because that's a remix. All right. Again, you know, I think he re-recorded the drums or something like that. But I'm a stickler for this kind of stuff. So, all right, putting everything back in order so that I don't get messed up, because Zappa has an extensive catalog, you guys, as I'm sure you know. Okay, that's it for 1968. Going on 1969, we have Uncle Meat. Now, Uncle Meat, this is another Zappa family estate release. This is not the original album cover, where they give you the LP mix and yeah, the original 1969 vinyl mix. Okay, it is 3 discs. You get how the album was originally sequenced to. I'll tell you what else I like about this. You get King Kong as 1 track. So if you're importing your CDs onto your computer or iTunes or, you know, however you listen to it, it's not broken up. It's one long song, and you know, King Kong is one of his classics. So what else I like about this is that when the old CD before this had all that dialogue from the film. The film, I don't believe the film was ever completed, but this doesn't put that on there. It's a great album, Uncle Meat, and it's the last, you know, fully realized project, at least in terms of an album, because the film wasn't released, that the Mothers did in the 60s. All right, so what's it called? Meat Light. Meat Light. That's the name of that set. Okay, and then we move on. It's still 69 to the immortal Hot Rats. And again, I'm showing you the 2012 CD because that contains the original 1969 LP mix. The previous CDs did not. Hot Rats is one, you know, that's one of the ones that you give to a newbie to turn them on to Frank Zappa. It is it's pretty much an instrumental album. Captain Beefheart does the vocals on Willie the Pimp. It's got the immortal Peaches and Regalia, but the whole thing is good. It's a jamming album. You know, this is very progressive for that time. And what I also have here, which I'm going to pull up, is the Hot Rats box set, the Hot Rats Sessions. It's a lot of stuff here, 6 discs of the sessions, the recordings that went into that album. You can really see how much effort he puts into his albums, or he put into his albums, past tense. So if you're a fan of Hot Rats, and who isn't, this is a wonderful way to do a deep dive into that album. Okay, when the original Mothers split in 69, when Frank didn't have the whatever, I mean, he just wasn't making enough money to keep the band going, and they disbanded. There was some releases, a couple of them, of stuff that they had recorded but did not release at the time. This is Burt Weenie's Sandwich, really good. Again, this is the 2012 release. I mean, I might as well just give them at the same time. And this is Weasels Rip My Flesh, about 1970. But they're really good. I mean, they pretty much function as Mothers albums in and of themselves. And since none of this material had been released at the time, you can just as easily call these Mothers releases of original material and it's I don't even know which one I like more. I tell you what, I love the sequence of now I gotta read it for you. My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama, Oh No, and the Orange County Lumber Truck. I love that. Plus, there's a really great Little Richard cover on here, Directly From My Heart to You. This has a really great cover of the old R&B song, White Port and Lemon Juice, WPLJ, which I love. And Valerie's another one of his 50s doo-wop kind of things. Pick both of these up, folks, if you like the original Mothers. Okay, we're moving on to the 70s now. Like that one too, Chunga's Revenge. Now he's got Flo and Eddie, Howard Kaylan and Mark Volman from the Turtles. Here he's putting together the new Mothers of Invention, but I think this is just credited to Frank Zappa. But for all intents and purposes, it's virtually the first, Mothers Mach 2 album. Transylvania Boogie is a great guitar song. Road Ladies is, Zappa liked his groupies, didn't he? Again, struggling to read the clap, Chunga's Revenge. It's another, the humor is starting to get more basic. I used the word puerile earlier at about this time. In fact, the second version of the Mothers with Flo and Eddie, that's where the humor really starts to get base. But it's not really killing the music at this point. For the longest time, this was my favorite live Zappa. This is the Mothers, Fillmore East, June '71. There's a box set for this album that I ordered once, and then it didn't come, so I canceled the order, and for some reason I never reordered it, but I will pick it up because I do like this version of the Mothers live. This is almost like a concept album of groupies and mud sharks, and I won't get into it because again I don't know whether the humor really translates to the 21st century in our current woke era. But, we thought it was funny back in the day. Great album. Then there is the big 200 Motels project. Now, I gotta be honest with you folks, I'm not crazy about this album. It has kind of grown on me over the years. It's not, he went to England to record this, and it doesn't sound as good as, the albums that he was recording here in the States, mostly in California. I've never seen the film. I was hoping that when this big 50th anniversary came out, that they would release the movie on Blu-ray or something, but they did not. But I've read so much about this project, mostly just from this set, that I feel like I know the movie. So do I need to see it? Well, I still want to. Hell, I would watch whatever that they filmed for the Uncle Meat movie too. But as of yet, I've never seen it. This big box is fine. It does give me a better appreciation of the project. But if you don't want to splurge for that, the old CD is fine. It's a double disc. All right, so 200 Motels in 1971. Still the Flo and Eddie version of the Mothers. Okay, next stack. This is 1972. I want to get the title right before just another band from LA. This is the one that has Billy the Mountain, which is a long kind of rambling thing that they did live. I don't know if there was ever a studio version of this. There's versions of that song on the 1971 Mother's box set that I was referring to earlier. Again, not crazy about this album. It's okay. I'm going to say that the second version of the Mothers just didn't appeal to me the way that the first version did. It's not a bad record. Again, it's live. But this is, to me anyway, this is in no way as good as Fillmore East, June 1971. All right, so he's over there in England doing a concert. He gets pushed off the stage, Frank, by whatever, a fan. Maybe, obviously not really a fan, but a guy who attended the concert. He breaks his leg. He's in a wheelchair. This version of the Mothers breaks up because, again, he can't, almost the same reason as the first version of the Mothers. He can't afford to pay them. They get disgruntled. They leave. And while he's in the wheelchair, he records some really great music. Waka Jawaka came out in 72. Love this one. This is, it says Hot Rats on the cover, like it's another version of Hot Rats, largely instrumental. Love Big Swifty. Love Waka Jawaka, the title track. The songs in the middle, Your Mouth, it just might be a one-shot deal. Yeah, they're okay. But you buy the album for those two instrumental cuts, and they're long. 17 minutes for Big Swifty, over 11 minutes for Waka Jawaka, but it's prime Zappa. All right? Then there's what I consider to be kind of like a companion album. Grand Wazoo came out in 73. Again, these are the 2012 CDs. It's more of the same. It's like Waka Jawaka Part 2. You get the Grand Wazoo, the really long song, and then a bunch of other songs that are pretty good, but not on the same level. But here's something I'm going to show you guys. If you guys like surround sound, because I do, this came out a couple of years ago. This is both. It's 5 discs, the 5th disc being the Blu-ray. You get Waka Jawaka and Grand Wazoo in surround. And they sound good. I don't know, hopefully they're going to keep up with this Zappa surround sound series, because I really dig this. This is now my preferred way to hear those two albums. All right. And if you don't have a surround sound rig, you also have 4 CDs of material recorded at that time. Okay, still in 73, we have Over-Nite Sensation. Album sales had kind of been lagging since, this one made the Billboard Top 40 in the States. Which he hadn't enjoyed that kind of record sales since, I think since the Fillmore East album. All right, but this is one, actually, to be honest with you guys, a friend and I just synced this last night, so it's fresh in my mind. He's got a new version, the 3rd version of the Mothers of Invention here. It's a great band. Love Camarillo Brillo. Montana is like classic. Frank, I'm the Slime, his anti-TV song. He's got Ricky Lancelotti singing on 50/50, and he's singing with him on Zombie Wolf. And he's got Tina Turner and the Ikettes providing the backing vocals. Whenever you hear girls singing behind him, that's who that is. All right. Another really strong release. And what came out last year is the album in, this is what we played last night. The album's in Atmos, it's in 5.1, but not DTS. And it's got a quad mix too, so I really recommend this too. Just like the Waka Jawaka Grand Wazoo set. Plus CDs of material. If you don't want to hear the surround mix, bam. 1974, Apostrophe. This is an old AU-20 disc I got a long time ago. Sounds good. This was a top 10 album for Frank in 1974. His highest charting album. Probably just because of the Yellow Snow 45. By the way, if you heard that song on the radio at the time, like I did, the single mix is not on here. I'm looking for it. If you want to hear that, the Yellow Snow 45 mix, it's on this, strictly commercial, which does contain other 45 mixes, which are unique, to this CD. So there you go. I like this. I like that. He hasn't released an album yet that I don't like. I'm not crazy, like I said, about Twin Motels and just another band from LA, but they're not, they're certainly not unlistenable. Okay, still in 74. We're still in the mid 70s. This is my favorite live Zappa now. Roxy and Elsewhere. They're just ripping it up here. Tremendous stuff. Some new material. Actually, most of this is new material. And if you like this, I recommend this. Here's the performances that they recorded for that album. This is, wow, 7 discs. 7 discs. So that was what was officially released. This is what you can now get. My favorite live Zappa. And also, before we move on to 1975, I also recommend this live show from 1974. You can't do that on stage anymore, volume 2. I did not buy all that you can't, do that on stage anymore stuff. In fact, there's so much, posthumous live Zappa that you can get that, I'm only showing you what I have, what I recommend. All right, so, all right. 1975, moving on, album by album. One of his best albums, One Size Fits All. This is another one of those AU 20 gold discs. Love this stuff. I think if you're gonna, look at online polls or lists of, ranking the Zappa albums, this stuff from 73 to 75, or even 76, if you're gonna include Zoot Allures, ranks highly. This is in a lot of Zappa's music is quite proggy, like it was always progressive, but prog heads like Zappa, and there's a reason. His band was so good, they could pretty much outplay virtually any prog band that you can name. So One Size Fits All. Pick that one up if you haven't already. Okay, still in 75, he makes Bongo Fury with his old buddy, Don Van Vliet, Captain Beefheart. This is a live album, I think, or most of it's live. I used to not really care for this. Now I do. Now I do. If you like Frank and if you like Don, well, if you like them together, you probably already have this album. I guess I should say, because I passed 1969 right by, that Frank Zappa produced Captain Beefheart's classic Trout Mask replica album. Don also does vocals on Willie the Pimp on the I almost said Hot Rocks again, didn't I? On the Hot Rats record. And then there's this. Okay? You need all that stuff, really. Okay. 1976. I think this is his only album from that year. Zoot Allures. Good stuff. Again, hot guitar playing. Some of this is live. By this point, what he's doing is he's recording himself playing live, at these concerts, and he's incorporating those recordings into the songs that he's doing in the studio. Like he'll take like a solo, and he'll put it in a studio song, or he might just release the solo as is. But yeah, lots of good stuff. Black Napkins, it would probably be my favorite cut on here. Zoot Allures, the title track. But, you know, there you are. Now, I'm also going to give you, before we leave 1976, another. This is Philly 1976. This is 2 discs, live, really good stuff. A perfect little companion piece to Zoot Allures. Okay. Okay, now I have to tell you, I spent a half hour before I started this recording today looking for my Zappa in New York box set. It's 5 CDs, it's circular. Couldn't find it. I do recommend it. Whenever I do one of these shows, it seems there's always something I can't find. I think the only show so far that I've done, and this is my 5th video, was the Jimi Hendrix one. I found every Jimi disc that I own. So anyways, Zappa in New York. Again, by this point now, and this is live, the humor is starting to get very base. Kind of like, you know, what I would think that a junior high school boy in a locker room would find funny. You know, Punky's Whips, Titties and Beer. These are beloved Zappa tracks, but I'm at this point in his career, I'm starting to kind of roll my eyes at the humor. Just listen to the music that Frank is giving you, because that's always the important thing. In the 60s, I liked the humor. I liked, for instance, on, you know, Really In for the Money, you know, he's totally satirizing hippies, and in particular, hippies in San Francisco. But it's great because no one else was doing that. And I love all that Bay Area stuff. I'll be giving you guys an Airplane show really soon, but and when I get to the Grateful Dead, boy, I might have to break that up into 2 shows because I have a lot of Dead. But anyways, Frank was not a fan of San Francisco psychedelic music, and that's what he's talking about in some of the songs and Rolling In for the Money. I do appreciate the humor then. By the late 70s, he's already satirized or made fun of so many things. He's just starting to kind of be searching for every aspect of American culture that he hasn't already commented on. So some of the stuff, yeah, on Zappa in New York, which is 1977, it doesn't really hit the mark for me. But if you dig that stuff, great. You know, it's a popular album. Wish I could show you the box set because I do enjoy there's lots of great playing there. I don't have it. Also, a CD that I've never owned, but I downloaded it. It's easily available online if you want to just get the album on iTunes. Is Studio Tan. That CD fetches ridiculous prices if you want to get the 2012 disc. Don't have it, but again, I downloaded it, so I can't show you that either. I do like the album, Studio Tan. It's actually pretty good. I'd probably rather play that than just Zappa in New York. But that's another one that I don't have a physical disc to show you. And unlike Zappa in New York, I've never owned that on CD. So we return to our regular programming with Sleep Dirt, which is pretty good. I like the album. Probably not as good as Studio Tan, but it's good enough. Oh, you know what else I don't have here? Wow. I'm just realizing that now as I'm doing this show. Leather. Leather is an album that he wanted to release in 1977. For whatever reason, you know, you can read about it online. The label didn't let him do it. And so he went on a radio station here in LA and he played the whole thing. He's saying, you know, F you to the label, but this is what I wanted to release. There's a pretty good triple, I think it was, CD of that you can get. It wasn't re-released in 2012 with upgraded sound, but the sound quality is fine. And what he did with the leather album is he just took, you know, pieces of that and released it on various albums for the rest of the 70s. Sometimes exactly like it would have been on the leather album. Sometimes he would change it up, you know, do some re-recording, overdubbing or whatever. But pick it up. Leather, it's spelled L-A with an, you know, with a little umlaut, I think, on top, L-A-T-H-E-R. But you'll know when you see it. It's easy to find. Okay, so after Sleep Dirt, we have Shake Your Booty. I think we're in 78, 79 now? 78 probably. This is a popular album. Again, he's, you know, the lyrics, they are what they are. But this is, you know, Zappa fans like this. I like it too. It's not one of my favorite Zappa albums, but it's commercial minded. You know, I still don't recall hearing these songs on the radio in the late 70s, and I was listening to rock radio at that time. But it holds up. Shake Your Booty. It holds up better, I feel, than this. This is orchestral favorites. Like Frank often wanted to record with an orchestra. That's why he went over to England to do the 200 Motels project. But he was frequently, if not always, underwhelmed by the experience. He didn't like. Well, first of all, I mean, when he went over, I know for a fact when he went over there to England, the musicians, the orchestra didn't like his music. They felt that they were, you know, just getting a paycheck. This album I've never played all that much, but this is the this is a 3-disc set. You get the you know, the original LP mix here. If you want to hear this album, this 1978, I believe, or 79 album, this is the way to do it. Again, this is another one of those Zappa family sanctioned issues where you get all the recordings he made at the time. And we are coming to the end, aren't we? Well, at least the end of the 70s. Joe's Garage. You get both albums from Joe's Garage on here. There's some really good material on here. You know, him making his, this is the central scrutinizer vocals over the tracks kind of irritates me sometimes, but not enough for me not to like the album. Again, this is like Shake Your Booty. This is one of his more popular recordings, albums at the time. Well, this is 2 albums, right? And this, if you get it, this is Acts 1, 2, and 3. 2 CDs, yep. 2 discs. This is the way to listen to it, you know, get the 2012 mix, 2012 CD. That's the way to do it. Okay, moving on into the 80s now. I'm just going to do 80 and 81. Tinseltown Rebellion. It's pretty good. I like it. Yeah, this is all new material. Brown Shoes Don't Make It Part 2. Well, actually, it's not even Part 2, is it? Bamboozled by Love. Yeah, I mean, I played this a lot at the time. I don't return to it a whole lot because I like mostly earlier Frank. By the 80s, I don't think Frank was breaking any new ground anymore. He's releasing crowd-pleasing albums. He's doing what he knows how to do. You know, he's still skewering everything that he can. But after a while, I got to be bored and I stopped buying his albums. But this one is still pretty good. This is 2 discs of shut up and play your guitar, where all he does is he's taking, I think this is all live, right? His guitar solos, and he's presenting them. I think this was maybe 3 LPs when it came out, but it's pretty good. I mean, I don't always dig his guitar solos, but most of the time I do. You know, Frank was a phenomenal player. So if you want to hear this stuff, this is probably something they could do a box set of one day. They condensed the albums down to these 2 CDs. I like it. And for what I'm gonna say is my last disc here is You Are What You Is. Another good one. Probably as good as Tinseltown Rebellion. They're both good. This is the 2012 version again. And I'm going to stop there. I mean, I could have gone on. Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Rich is a pretty good album, but I want to make a clean cutoff, and this is 81 is when I want to do it. So, any last thoughts on Frank Zappa? What have I not said? He was always really good as a musician, as a band leader, as a songwriter. He could conduct. I mean, he could conduct in the studios, you know, whole rooms full of musicians playing his stuff, the same way that Brian Wilson could do it in the 60s. Again, he's not to everyone's taste, but if you like Frank, well, then you love him, kind of, right? Most Frank Zappa albums that you buy, that you can purchase, are good. There's not too many of them that I'm not going to recommend to you. He began to be a little more patchy, you know, as the 80s wore on, but there's still some really good albums there. But mostly the 60s and the 70s is the era where his fans find the most to enjoy. So, all right, Matt Wilson signing off. Until next time, guys.